28th of May 2006. This is an interview with Mrs. Sarah Rappaport. You were born as Sarah Zilberberg in 1925, Poland. Where were you born?
Suchedniów.
But you lived in Ostroviecz at that time?
We moved.
So tell me a little bit first about your family or background.
We lived in Suchedniów, and we lived about 1 kilometer from Suchedniów in the place where it was a resort, like just good air. Many beautiful woods and some villas, and people from Kielce were coming in the summer for this place. And we girls from a very small place, we gained a lot by it because we had something of the big world. And it was very beautiful. We were, as children, I was there until the age of 10. And we were all day outside and playing, and then we had big dark woods. We had smaller light woods. It was a very beautiful countryside. We had a river, we had a lake, and we were all
tourists came in the summer or in the winter also?
In the summer, just in the summer. It's part of the Góry Świętokrzyskie is called Świętokrzyskie Mountains, Middle Mountains, not high mountains. Anyways, I was going there to school until 1935. My father was owner of a mill, for flour mill, yeah. And we were 4 girls. The youngest one was born 33. When we left for Ostroviecz, we were a family of 4 girls.
You were the oldest?
I was the second.
Only girls?
Only girls.
And 4 of you?
4 of us. My older sister is 2 years older. I was the second. Then was a girl which was 5 years younger than me. And then was another one which was 3. The one that was 5 years younger than me perished under circumstances. And the one that is 3 years younger than her, 8 years, she survived. And I have a big part in it that she survived. I was very brave at the time when she needed.
We'll talk about it later on, of course.
Well, in 1935 March, we changed to Ostroviecz.
Just a minute, before you moved, I want to talk a little bit about this place, because you said it was a very nice place, pleasant, and tourists came only from Poland, or also
only
from...
was not. It was a small place. They came from the cities nearby, which one of the largest cities was Kielce. That was very popular, like that place. There was Skarżysko, was a place which was closer but was a little smaller. And there were few families that used to come every year, so that we made friends with them, with the children of those families.
And in the winter?
In the winter, the
place was almost empty, or there were many people that lived there on a regular basis?
In this place where we lived, were only a few families. I think mostly Jewish families. There were the people that had mills there. There was 2 mills. And there were Sägewerk, I don't know how to say it in English. It's where they cut wood.
Lumber.
Lumber and wood, yeah. And because there was a river, the mill was next to the river and was having the water as the energy. that they were using.
Winter.
In the winter, the school was in Sukhetnyu, and it was also much fun. We were going by a wagon on sliding as children, and we were very happy doing it.
So you knew to ski from a very young age?
We didn't ski, but we had a lake, and we were on skates. We were skating. Yeah. We were swimming in the river. It's a beautiful countryside. As a matter of fact, when I was later on with the children in Germany, wherever we went, I used to say, well, our place was much nicer.
You saw this place since then?
Yes, I went with my children, I don't know how long. My son had a congress in Kazimierz in Poland, and he asked me if I would like to go with him to show him the place where where we were living. And I said very quick yes, but then I changed my mind. But my daughter said, well, I will go with you, and so forth. So I went with my daughter, my son, and the grandson that was 15 years old.
And you weren't disappointed?
And we were very disappointed, because my children, they looked at each other with a cynical smile, that what mother was telling all this time about the beauty, there's nothing to see of it. The river was drawn, the lake was like nothing, and the woods were all cut out. And our house was not there anymore, because they were small wooden houses.
And it was now kind of a neglected place?
The place itself, no, it was it looked very clean, but there were not many houses. As a matter of fact, they had a railroad station at the time when I was there, which was not before. So that was an addition.
Okay, so we'll talk about what you remember as a beautiful place.
Yeah.
You said that most of the people there were Jewish, but you had also connection with non-Jewish people?
Oh yes, we were in school. There was a school that was not too many Jews, because it was a very small place, and there were Gentiles, there were Poles. And in this place where we lived, there was a butcher, there was a small store for food, and there was a place that they made oil, they were pressing oil and such things. And the people which had the lumber and the people that had the mill. There were just a few scattered families in this. But the others were in the smaller place, and the father of my father, the grandparents, lived in the Sukhetnyu that we were visiting.
What was your first language?
Polish.
Not Yiddish?
No. Well, no. I remember speaking Polish. My parents spoke among themselves Yiddish, but with father, we didn't speak so much. He was leaving the house at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he came back for lunch, and then he went back again. And but with my mother, we spoke Polish, and she spoke Polish to us.
And with your grandparents, you spoke also Polish?
I don't remember. My grandmother was very clean. When we came to visit her, she gave us whatever she had, and we went out. We shouldn't make the house dirty.
So you wouldn't mess her
up
house.
And bring all the dirt from the street into the house.
You had also uncles and aunts?
Yes, we had in Sukhetnyu, where we lived. We had my father was the oldest, and his brother was the youngest, And in the middle, there were girls. I think 10 or something. There were
10
12
girls?
children, yeah. They were 12.
Only the oldest and the youngest were boys,
Yeah.
and in between
Yeah,
10 girls.
Yeah. I don't know if 10 lived, but maybe 9 or 8. I could, now if I would try, I would remember the names. But some always in the families, when they were 12, there were some were not alive, so it's children they were.
You mean children who didn't survive to adulthood?
To adulthood, right. Well, they were already grown up.
And you were the first, you and your sister were the first grandchildren?
Yeah, yeah. We were from both sides, the first grandchildren. My mother also was of a family of 10, and there were also 2 boys only, but not the oldest. There was one older boy. And she also was the oldest. So we were the first to both grandparents.
You said that your father was always busy all the time at work, so your mother was at home with you?
Yes, my mother was a very, very good mother.
She was the one responsible for your education and all that?
Everything, yes. She has help, domestic help, but she was all the time busy. If she didn't cook, she was sewing on the machine for us underwear, nightgowns and things like that.
Were you a religious family?
Yes, we were Orthodox, but not too strict. Not too strict. We were kashrut was no problem. That was obvious. Also, Shomer Shabbat was natural. But otherwise, I don't know there were any restrictions because we had no purpose to drive. Anyways, we didn't drive also not on Shabbat.
Your mother covered her hair?
My mother did not have her covered her head. She did in the beginning, but after 2-3 years after she was married, she changed it. And
if someone, maybe your father or I don't know who, smoked, he used to smoke on Shabbat?
My father smoked, no, he didn't smoke on Shabbat. And telephone we didn't have at the time. I think we had electricity, yes, but there was no cooking on Shabbat. There was, the main things were observed.
You said that you had domestic help. Was it a Gentile girl?
Gentile girl.
So she was the goy of Shabbat for you?
Also, yes. But
especially in the winter to put wood in the oven.
Put the wood in the oven, right, to keep it warm, yes. Otherwise, maybe also the light to put on and shut it off at the same.
Did she help your mother to cook? I mean, could you trust her with kashrut and things like that? Was she familiar with Judaism?
Well, I assume, but I was a child at the time and I didn't pay attention to it. But my mother was cooking, but she was helping with the washing up and with the peeling things and things like that. But cooking, my mother was herself.
And she lived
with us, yeah.
In the kitchen?
Probably, yes.
There was a special place usually
in the kitchen. The kitchen was big enough. We, as a matter of fact, I mean, I don't know how it was in Sukhednyu until I was 10. There was a room in the front that was empty, and there were all the jams and the fat and the things like that. So she slept there. But then in Ostroviecz, we lived in a new apartment.
The same one? The same girl came with you to Ostroviecz?
Not the same.
did you go with her sometime to the church or something like that?
No.
Did you go to a church as a
No,
child?
no. Not that I remember.
You were afraid of, there were children that were afraid of church, and there were children that were curious about what's going on.
Later in Ostroviecz, there was a very beautiful church in a nice place. I went to see it. And when I was, but that was later, when I was sightseeing, that I had a problem if I should, I think also in Poland, when we made with the school excursions, I would never kneel. I would say I'm not allowed, and I was standing.
And at school there was a religious lesson on...
No, we didn't have a Jewish school.
No, not a Jewish. Usually when the priest came and told them, and the Jewish kids could go outside, and they had a special lesson for them.
When they had religion, when the Gentile had a religious lesson, we went out and we had our once a week, I think, only. But I was going to Bat Yakov in Suchedniów only until the age of 10, because when I came to Austerlitz, I didn't go to this Bet Yakov anymore.
In Bet Yakov, you learned,
I learned how to pray in Hebrew, to pray, and the translation of some prayers.
To read it, but did you understand what you were reading?
We learned to translate a few main prayers. Yeah, like the Moda'ini, like the Asher Yatzah, things like that.
But mostly it was Hebrew as Lashon Kodesh, not as a language.
Not as a language.
And did you go to school on Shabbat?
No.
You didn't go at all, or you went and didn't write?
Not at all. We didn't go to school. I went to school from 1937, when I was in the middle school, for 2 hours, because there was Polish. There were 3 hours of Polish, and 2 of them was on Shabbat. So I had to attend, otherwise I wouldn't have a note. But I didn't write.
Who was more religious, your father or your mother?
I think they were both the same.
You said that your father was from Suchedniów, and your mother was also from the
No, they were not from Suchedniów. They both were from Bodzentin, which is, you could have a ride only by horses there. It's, I don't know how far it was, maybe, would say 20 kilometers, 15 kilometers away. They both from there, when they got married, they came to Suchedniów.
Because you said that your grandparents were there, so I assumed
that was the grandparents of... yes, the grandparents also lived, I think. I don't know. I know that the grandmother of the mother of my father, her parents lived in Bodzentin also. My father probably, yes, he lived in Bodzentin also, yes. They were both from Bodzentin. And when father moved to Suchedniów and was working in the mill, I remember as a child that his parents lived in Suchedniów. I don't know when they came, or that I probably was too small to remember.
And were you happy to move to Ostroviecz?
No. The people were there different. The children that I was going to school with, they were not as well read like us. We were very, very intellectual So
although Ostroviecz was a bigger city, and you were like village people, and they should be the intellectuals. And
they well, the first 3 months I had no friends, I don't remember. But then I had some very, very nice friends, which
there you went to a Jewish school? No.
Also there was not Jewish school.
Public school.
Public school.
And did you have Gentile friends?
In school, I think we didn't meet much after school. In school, I was friendly with many girls.
It was a school for girls only?
I think it was boys and girls. Yeah, it was boys and girls.
Did you like
until the six classes of public school, and then was high school.
Did you like going to school?
Very much, very much.
I suppose that your older sister and your younger sister was too young to go with you.
She was supposed to start school in 1939. She missed it. She didn't go to school at all.
Did you feel as a child any kind of anti-Semitism?
Yes. I remember I had a new bicycle, which was unfortunately in 1939 that I didn't have it for very long. When I first went out of the border of the city where was the most Jewish people, to the part of the city which was more lived by Gentiles, they were throwing stones after me. But that was already, in Poland, the open anti-Semitism started around 1936. It was influenced probably by the Nazism from Germany.
In Sucheniów, you didn't feel any anti-Semitism at all?
Not at all.
Only in Ostroviecz?
No.
In Ostroviecz, at school?
In school, not.
Maybe from some of the teachers?
No. I didn't feel it. I was a very good pupil. And they respect me for that. So I personally did not feel any.
And sometimes the finest students had to say a speech or something at the end of the year, and it wasn't a problem that you are Jewish.
No, not at all. I remember they have chosen me to make not a speech, a poem for the 3rd of May, which was a big holiday, and I was as a Jewish girl. And this 3 May, some would pronounce like a little accent, which was not proper. And I didn't feel that I was deprived as a Jew.
And in that day, you went on the street with the Polish flags and things like that?
I cannot remind with the flags or so, no. Probably, no, we didn't. I don't remember myself walking with a flag, with a Polish flag.
Did you feel Polish as a child? You were a kind of patriot?
I know what you mean. Probably, yes, yes. I was very... Now that you ask me, I never was confronted with this question, but I remember I was very proud of this big hero Pilsudski, that he freed the Poles, and he fought in 1920 and he won the war, and Poland was liberated.
When he died,
yes,
I felt... In 1935 it was a big disaster for the people.
When?
When he died in 1935.
Yeah. And I felt pain when I learned in the history of the first, in 1770 something, of the first division of Poland among Austria, Russia, and Germany, and then the second, and then I felt patriotic for Poland.
And was there any connection to Zionism at home at that time?
Not in Suchedniów. There was more talk about communism among children that were well-read.
Your father was a pure
bourgeois.
He had a meal.
Well, in 1935, I was too young, but boys or girls which were 2-3 years older, they already read those books and about this big, beautiful idea, and that was among well-read children. That was popular, right? It was popular,
but not at home, not your parents.
No, not at home. No. Well, we're not exposed to it, but we later. When I was 15 already, I had a girlfriend. What? You don't know what dialektische Materialismus, and didn't you read the Capital of Marx? I was 15, and that was a girl which was the rabbi's daughter. She was, but we were more. This was more interesting to us.
And no connection to Jewish youth movements?
Later.
Your older sister, yourself?
Maybe my older sister was going, I think, yes, she was going to a Zionist organization, yeah. But I was connected with Zionism, it was already during the war. Already connected with my friends, went to fight in the Warsaw Ghetto and so forth.
Which holiday did you like best at home?
Pesach. It was beautiful. Yeah.
You didn't have to help a lot before?
No. It was very, my mother started very early already with the cushions, with the things, make beautiful, wash them, press them. And we got new clothes, and we got new shoes.
Every Pesach and Rosh Hashanah?
Pesach and Rosh Hashanah we got new things. We had the fall clothes and the spring clothes. In Shavuot we got some summer things, but not many, small.
How do you remember Shabbat at home?
Well, there's different in Suchedniów and different in Ostroviecz. In Ostroviecz Shabbat used to come Jews with a big sack, and were calling Shabbos something Yiddalech, and we were giving them challah and so. Also in Ostroviecz, the first time I was confronted with very poor people that were coming to the house for begging. And Shabbat was beautiful. We had, my mother baked 10 different things. And yes, and we were playing outside all day.
Since your father was the only man at home, he went alone to the synagogue, or one
we
of you went with him?
Yeah. The two older girls were going with him. And I remember my mother always being in the window. She leaned out of the window and looked after us until she couldn't see us anymore. This I remember from my childhood.
Did you like the synagogue, or you only went to play with the friends?
We went to play, yeah. We were outside. We were outside playing. It was customary.
And it was a custom at your place that the cooking for Shabbat, let's say the chunt, they put it on Friday in the bakery, and then on Shabbat you had to go to take it back.
Yeah.
You were the one to do that?
Yeah,
because
maybe.
The pot was heavy.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I don't really remember it. Who went to get it? But
so
I
maybe
know
it wasn't you.
It was very close. It was the next house that they had it. But I don't remember carrying it.
Maybe you said
maybe
there
my
was a
oldest
maid
sister.
at home.
Maybe
so
the maid, yeah.
Is there anything else about your childhood before we arrive to 39?
Well, when I came to Ostroviecz, there's more to it. I went to school. 35, I was in the 5th grade, and then I went to, and then I made a test to go to the business school. They changed from 3 years to 4 years at my time. It was like a gymnasium for business called, and they didn't take me anymore, although I made the exam probably good enough, because they didn't accept any Jews anymore. So I went to the school Zavodova, which is like I don't know how to say, professional, more professional. I went to this school because they added the gymnasium for girls. There were girls separate and boys separate. I would have to go on Shabbat. And this school I wouldn't have to go, so my father did not allow me to go to the other one. So I was going to this school in 1937, 8.
And your older sister before you went to the same school?
No, she didn't go to the next school. She just had 7 years of public school.
What was her name?
Minja.
And your parents?
Devorah was my mother, and my father was Israel.
And I asked you before who was more religious, your mother or your father, and now you said that your father didn't allow you to go to the school, that you have to go on
because
Shabbat.
he was in charge. He was probably the one to say it. Yeah. Well, maybe my mother would allow me. I don't know.
So you said that you went to that
professional high school, yes, high school. Yeah.
What did you study there?
Well, it was professional because we studied additional to the study of high school. We studied also a few hours of sewing.
Did you like it?
The sewing, no. We had French as a subject, but in 1939 I was in the 3rd grade, and this episode I would like to tell you because my girl, we had to go to the secretariat and sign up for the following class and pay tuition, pay money for it.
It was a private school?
Yeah, it was private. And my girlfriend told me, well, I was there and they told me they don't accept Jews. I said, I don't understand. They were not ashamed to say such a thing. Well, that's what they said. So I said, I am going to try, and I want to hear it for myself, how they say it. And so there was the secretary, the director, and the priest. And they told me to go out, and then they called me in. And they said that, yes, they admit me, but I won't be registered without registering. So I was going from 39, 2 months later. It started because it didn't start September, it started November. So I was going for another year without being registered to school. But then they didn't want to take the chance anymore.
Besides the one time that you said when you rode on your bicycle and the children threw stones at you, do you remember other incidents of anti-Semitism in Ostroviecz?
Not directly for me, but I would hear like boys would call Baileys, or you killed Jesus and such things, yes. But myself, I did not feel discriminated.
You didn't have a Jewish look as a child, and your Polish was good.
But they knew me
without the Jewish accent, because you said you didn't speak Yiddish at home.
Yeah, but children knew me. I did not hide my Jewishness. I was committed to my being Jewish.
Yes, but when you are walking on the street.
No, but this even walking on the streets. First of all, the street was mostly inhabited by Jewish people where we lived. And when we walked outside of this territory, they knew me. They knew who I am, and they knew that I was Jewish. It's not that it was a place that people knew each other.
At that time when you lived in Ostroviecz, your father continued going every day to Suchenyov, to the mill?
Yeah, Ostroviecz was a different place. Was far away from Suchenyov.
It's also around
Kielce, yes, but it was far away. It was probably more than an hour by train, more than that. Once I went back to Suchenyov for vacation, but not anymore. We did not.
You didn't go to visit your grandparents?
My grandparents also moved together with us. My father was partners with his father in business.
And you had many of your aunts, mostly because you had only one uncle from your father's side, or from your mother's side. Did you have them around? Did you meet them around?
Yeah, but we did not have much to do with them. They were older. They were much older.
You don't remember relationships with your cousins?
Well, they were aunts. I don't remember cousins, no. I think they were not, most of them were not married. There was one I remember was married that lived in Suchenyov, and then when we moved away she was staying there, but I don't remember her children. We were too small.
After the first few months in Ostroviecz, you liked life there?
Yes.
Or you missed Suchenyov the whole time?
I did miss Suchenyov, the countryside, but later on I liked living in Ostroviecz. I had nice friends. It was not so long. It was not so long from going there in 1935 till the war broke out. We changed everything. Life changed completely.
when the war broke out in September 39, you were at that time still in a vacation?
No.
From school?
No.
You said that school began only in
1st
November.
of September. No.
Only because of the war.
Yes, the school was supposed to begin on 1st of September, but the war began at 1st of September. I was, it was in the afternoon, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was helping with laundry. That was, a woman was coming to wash the laundry once in 2 months or once in 3 months, and she was washing this for a whole week. And Thursday was the last day. It was a Thursday, the last day that she was finishing off. So when I came from school, I helped rinsing or starching or something. And I remember standing in front of this barrel, and somebody came in and said the war broke out. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
On a Thursday?
On a Thursday, September. I remember a Thursday.
I remember it. I remember it. I don't remember it personally, but I think it was Friday. But maybe when it came to Ostroviecz, it was a few days later.
No. Friday was the 1st of September. Maybe
if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe it was Friday, but I know it was the last day of the laundry washing. And well, then I think it's a different part of the interview.
At the age of
I was 14 years
14
old.
and a half.
Yeah.
Did you really understand what does it mean?
Yes. Well, I remember starting the 1st of September, I was writing every day a lot about what was happening. It was also a week later where was a bomb falling, and the men were leaving the city, Jewish men were leaving the city. My father was also, it was like the 6th of September, because I think they came to Ostroviecz on the 7th. And my father was also supposed to run away from the city. And he was crying that he's leaving his 4 children, his wife behind. And I was saying, well, I will go with you. So I went with him, and it was... there were planes above us when we were walking. We left by foot to go to the next place towards the Wisla, the river. And then I was the only girl. And so I said to my father, well, when tomorrow when we will be someplace, I'll get myself some men's clothes so that I don't show that I'm a girl. But then we had a very uncomfortable night, and the next day we decided to go back. We didn't want to be homeless. So that was the episode. When I came back, there was a bomb falling in the street where my school was, and I took a friend and walked there to see it. And on the way back, we went down in a cellar to buy some cream pastry, which was very famous. And we bought it and we walked up. They were coming, we saw those tanks. First we thought it was white crosses on it. So we thought maybe that's not German. And then this was the part of the city which was down, and then was a little, you had to go a little up. So I walked to this tank, and I said, well, are you German? And he said something in German that I didn't understand, and we walked away. We went up this hill, and people were already, Jews were already behind the gates. The gate was closed where you walked to the building, and from the small niche, they would see us, and they would, who is it? Who is it? And we said, it's the Germans. The Germans are here. So it was, my sister burned my diary, and she burned some books that I was reading, which were against the Nazis. It was some Geisler book by Geisler, a German. And we were very desperate, very desperate. Well, the first days after the war were already people shut in front of the house, neighbors or so.
Your parents weren't at that time still optimistic because they remembered the Germans in the First World War?
I don't think so, no. We knew there were people bringing news, bad news, and we also heard some of the speeches on the radio. We were not optimistic. And first of all, they came right away with many decrees saying 6 o'clock we shouldn't go out, whoever will be on the street will be shot. And they did shot people also at night or in the morning, just to show that they mean it, what they say or write it.
So you and your sisters stayed at home only? You didn't go out at the beginning?
My father, the German, when they came in, before the German came in, when the Poles, they packed our mill with grain, so that they have the grain, that we should make the grain for the army. But then when the German came, they took all the flour what there was, and we had to make, how do you say, to make from the grain the flour in English, to mahlen. They had to give it to the German. And the German were saying, well, they will pay us when Warsaw will be German, when the fall of Warsaw. But my father already had customers from before, and he went to one customer to collect money, and he was, a few days after the war, he was captured by them and hit, and they took away his beard, they shaved his beard.
So the customers? No.
Yeah, no. They shaved it.
The Germans?
The German cut it off. And he was afraid to go out. He didn't go anymore. He was staying in the house. I think the ghetto was pretty much a few months after the war. I don't remember it exactly. But then, I don't know if it was in 1940, the ghetto, or 1941. I think it was in 1940 already. But we had, a few months after the ghetto was, we lived in the ghetto. Our house was in the ghetto.
But do you remember your life till the ghetto? Because I understand that in November you began to go to school again, but not formally. They let you come every day, but not as a regular student.
But I think we had already the Yellow Star, I remember that I went to school. From school, I was going in the Gentile part of the city, and I lost it. I had it in my pocket, and I lost it. I dropped it on the street, and there was a Gentile guy that came running after me and said, "Look, you lost something." This I remember. I think
it wasn't on purpose that you.
No, I put my hand in the pocket, and then I took it out, and there was, I remember also 1940, like in February, in the winter, must have been the ghetto already, because, but it was a big ghetto. It was not a small ghetto. There were still many parts of a big part of the city was the ghetto. It's almost like where the Jews were living.
The whole Jewish part,
yeah.
But without a wall around.
No wall.
Not like Warsaw.
No. And so there was typhus, and I remember I didn't go to school for maybe 2-3 weeks.
You were sick?
There was typhus in that part. They didn't let us out.
There was an epidemic, so
it was an epidemic.
So the Germans didn't want you to go out.
Yeah, to spread. This I remember. I remember that two fathers of my 2 best friends died on the typhus. They were there.
It didn't come to your house?
No, it didn't come.
So you were isolated for like 2-3 weeks?
Yeah. We didn't go out from on the other part.
And now that your
But we lived in our apartment, so we didn't feel it so much. We had it was the last house on this street where later was already not like more without sidewalk, was more primitive.
And did you have a garden?
No, there was no garden.
And I don't know, maybe vegetables or something, because at that time your father can't go to work, he can't earn money, and you are 6 people at home. You remember how did you manage?
We had money. We had we lost a lot of money because my father had a lot of cash, and we couldn't, like when people had textiles or other things, they could hide it and sell it, and little by little, and live from the money what they were selling their goods. We couldn't hide the flour, and so we had nothing to sell. But we had some, we were buying for the money, not for all, for part of the money. We were buying textile, and we were buying leather, and we were buying things like that, and we were selling it.
That you can have a barter.
Yeah, like was, that we had, they were like linen in rolls, we bought many of those. And then we had also gold coins that you could sell, and you had
gold dollars.
No, I think they were more Russian gold, little gold coins, and we had dollars. We had the long dollars were Canadian, and the smaller, shorter ones were, remember them, were the US dollars. So we were selling what we had, and we were living on it. We didn't have a maid anymore because it was not allowed.
So of course you had to help a lot at home now.
Yes, I don't know if we helped so much. We had a Jewish woman, which was, we had it together with my aunt that lived above us. We lived on the main floor and she lived on the first floor. And so she, actually I don't remember myself cleaning. And the cooking my mother was doing. My mother was very diligent and she was...
Maybe it's the time that you'll tell a little bit about your mother?
I would rather not.
Okay.
I have, maybe later on when the war, I had a very, very close relationship with my mother.
Although you were at the time at the problematic age of, you weren't a rebellion teenager?
No, no. I had it good because my mother was always, I was her favorite. So I was more rebellion with my father. Well, when I would read a book, I would sometimes on Friday night, I would have it underneath the table and my father would see it, so he would be very angry.
Because? What kind of a book it was?
No, not the kind of a book. That he didn't bother. But to
that
read at the table on Shabbat.
Your father was more strict than your mother?
Oh yes, yeah, he was more strict, but he didn't budge much because he was not much at home.
But now he was at home all the time.
Yeah.
You were not used to it.
Yeah. Were asking questions that I never thought about. Well, he was kind of depressed, I would say. He didn't have the energy that he had.